got married to him and he was so freaking awesome. So my mom's making a lot of good points in that moment, obviously, like choosing favorites, especially a favorite wife, favorite kids, super messed up. But also, to play the devil's advocate a little bit, my mom also does choose favorites, as you've seen in this episode. So part of me is like, yeah, screw that guy for choosing favorites. But also it's like, who doesn't choose favorites? You know, obviously she's choosing favorites. And we can't be like, this is the worst person because they choose a favorite. However, we can be like, I don't know. Yeah, okay, so this is kind of off topic, but also this is a big point. Red Lipstick Reality TV pointed out, I really struggle with how all the parents parentified the oldest siblings. Logan and Aspen and even McKelty were responsible for far too much. I would 100% agree. Even, what's her name? I'm a monster. Even Aurora, I almost said like for Robin is her name. Even Aurora was parentified at such a young age. Somehow my perspective of my dad is maybe able to change the public's perspective of him as well, because I don't think that he deserves as much as the hate and criticism that he's getting. And yeah, he's done some messed up things, but so has my mom, and everybody's obsessed with her. And I think comparatively, like, they're not that different.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Thursday, October 12th, 2023, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Yesterday, I was able to let you guys know that Gwendlyn Brown was not at her mother's wedding. Christine Brown was married to David Woolley, and her absence was felt by her family and fans, and people seem to be pretty upset with Gwendlyn for making the choice not to attend her mom's wedding. Now, McKelty revealed that Christine was sad about Gwendlyn's choice to not come to the wedding, and I revealed some of the speculations about what Gwendlyn has been feeling as of late and what might be potentially brewing behind the scenes. Well, after I uploaded the video, I did a little bit more sleuthing and deep diving into her Patreon, links that were shared on the Sister Wives Reddit, and I was able to get a better understanding of what could be potentially going on. Whether you agree or disagree with Gwendlyn not attending the wedding, obviously a decision to skip a wedding is going to be complicated, and family dynamics are all complicated. And whether we believe we know this family or not, we don't. We don't know them beyond what's on our television, and that's a highly edited, dramatized version of the family. The shows are scripted, the scenes are curated, and while the words are really said, they're not always the full truth. And we don't know the dynamics of the family before the show. We don't know the dynamics of the family with the show. We only see what we see. Children on reality television as a whole are not treated with any level of care by networks. They're highly exploited, frequently not paid by families. And we've already known and seen on this channel through the coverage of all the different families, from the Duggars to Kate Plus 8, Teen Mom, 90 Day Fiance, shows like Unexpected. There's dozens upon dozens of shows. There are no laws protecting children on reality television. There's no one that says that children have to be paid. Contracts are not with children, they are with families. And when a family when a family patriarch or matriarch decides to make their family content for a show, they're basically signing away the rights to their family and to their family story to a network. So if a child, say Gwendlyn or any of the kids from the Brown family, speak up or feel like they need to have a platform of their own because they've been exploited financially and they don't make money and they decide they'd like to make money, I could see where they would want to finally have a voice. So when it comes to Gwendlyn's decision, it's controversial. We don't know the full backstory about why she made the decision not to go. We just know she did not go. Now, when I was taking a look through her Patreon, 2 videos were linked to the Sister Wives Reddit. They were about 4 hours of her doing a live stream discussing the first 2 episodes of this current season. Now, I'm not a member of her Patreon, so I only saw this. These are listed as unlisted videos on YouTube. So Gwendlyn has expressed this over the past several months frustration that she feels not only for her dad, but also for her mom. And it's pretty complicated. And from my understanding, it sounds like she is at odds right now with the network, and her struggle with the network could very well be a huge component of why she didn't attend. It also could have a lot to do with Peyton. But it's far more complicated than someone not putting something aside for one day. And because we don't know the full story of what happened between her and Peyton, we don't know the severity of what she's dealing with from a traumatic perspective. We don't know if it was a single incident or if it was multiple incidents. We do know that Christine didn't leave Gwendlyn and Peyton home alone at a certain point because she was not safe around Peyton. And that was an episode of the show, and that's real. So whatever happened was more than once, okay? He has admitted to one incident as adults. Gwendlyn says it's more than that. I want to just give you some high levels of some of the concerns she's brought forward on her Patreon. And you can certainly become a member of her patron. You can pay for this content. I don't want to give away the whole story, and I certainly don't want to steal her platform, but I feel like context is necessary to viewers that might understand this situation. So one of her recent complaints is that she feels that her life and her family life has become exploited by a network, and that it's been used for financial gain, not only by the network, but also by her family. And she's expressed frustration with both of her parents that they are not paying their adult children. While she has recognized that they've received perks, they've gotten to go on trips, the family has a higher lifestyle than they used to. They're not poor, they're not scraping by to eat like they used to. They're not on welfare anymore. There are resources her family has, but those resources have not been equitable. Cody and Robin do receive the bulk of that resource, okay? She says that recently she was tricked into signing an NDA by the network. And she said this happened during an event that was filmed regarding her for her wedding, and that TLC pulled her aside and they said she needed to sign a release before she went into the house for an event to spend time with her family. She said she was not given the full contract, nor was she given the full details of what she was signing, and she felt like the signing was under duress and she did not have any representation with her to help her understand what she was signing. She feels that this would not be an enforceable legal document due to the way that it was forced on her by the network. But it sounds very similar to the way that TLC handled the Duggar kids. So she feels like she's been tricked into signing a document that she doesn't know what she signed. That's a lot like what Jill said in her book.
The kids make it more enjoyable. I will probably not be on the show more. Springson, I don't know if they like me right now. My wedding will not be featured on the show. I did not want that to be filmed. I was not paid on the kid as a minor. However, it went to the parents when I was on it, and they just paid for my education and stuff. Or did they?
She said this occurred at an event that was filmed for her wedding, a party, and that the producers turned this event into drama between her dad, Cody, and David. And she felt it took away from her day, which was for her wedding, and she felt like she doesn't know if she'll even be featured in this part of the episode. So she said, this was filmed for the show, and I don't even know if I'll be on this episode or they'll even show me because of what happened. And they turned it into this situation, which it shouldn't have been about. This was about me spending time with my family, with them for my wedding. And McKelty has said it has to do with her engagement party. So she said at this point, things with TLC is not good. She said she doesn't think that TLC really likes her. She said things that were while filming that were pretty bold. And she said, if you say things that are too extreme, TLC can, about someone, that while being filmed, like there's risk of being sued, right? So they don't allow people to go super far with when they're talking about people. And she said she doesn't think what she said will make it to air because of that.
If TLC doesn't pay, then Gwen owes them nothing, because in a contract, both sides have to put in something of value. So it's not a valid contract. Well, Rochelle, are you a secret lawyer? Stop. Yeah, I agree. The thing is, they told me, they were like, oh, this is just for this episode. Just like, don't tell people what you're doing here. So I was like, okay, yeah, I don't mind not telling people. Also, they wouldn't let me in the house until I signed it, which is real question. I was like, because we were just hanging out as a family, and they were like, oh, Gwendlyn, you can't go in until you sign this. I was like, okay.
Something else that she's expressed frustrations with were she doesn't like how Christine has been playing to the cameras this season and over dramatizing everything. So what she said is when you're watching the show, when you see her parents talking, it's extremely over dramatized. They all play to the camera. Robin's tears are for the camera. Christine, being super dramatic about the divorce, saying, I'm done, I'm not going to do this anymore. That's very dramatic. Or, her dad saying it's a near-death experience. That's all drama for the show. And she said, well, it's them saying the words. It's not exactly the truth. She was frustrated with the very first episode because her mom brought her up during the first conversation that she had with Cody when they met at Salsa Brava. And she said that she had a private conversation with her mom about her dad because her dad called her on her birthday. She didn't realize that that conversation she had with her mom would become public and for the show.
The way that she's describing it is I was just making fun of my dad to her. I don't like the way that I was brought up at all, because now after this, he's just going to be upset with me, like, especially in this moment where she's like just telling him to just relax and stuff. I don't want to be included, keep my name out of this. This is weird and awkward,
She felt like the way that it was shown was misrepresenting how she was talking to her mom about her dad. She said that she wasn't laughing at her dad or like making fun of him. It was just that it was her birthday. Her dad was really sick. And instead of saying and talking to her about her on her birthday, all he did was talk about himself. And she said that she felt like it was brought up when her dad was already angry and frustrated. So she feared that it would put her in a position where her dad would get mad at her again. And so she said, I didn't consent to that conversation being put on it. I don't like being put in the middle of this. I wish they wouldn't have talked about that. And so she said, when you have a show, when you have a family that's on reality television, you just don't know what they're ever going to say on the show and what's going to be held back from the show. And that's why a lot of times they say things are not safe, because there's no safety in private conversations because it can all become public. And so that was one frustration she has. Now, her doing a Patreon to express her point of view has a lot to do with the fact that on the show, the kids don't get a voice. It's all filtered through the parents. And that's one of the reasons why she started her own platform. And she's not paid for the show. So there's been a ton of problems with her and Peyton, obviously. But she said that she finds her mom to be a little bit hypocritical for blaming Cody for favoriting Robin because her mom also has favorite children, and she claims that her mom favors Peyton. She says that the boys are treated differently in the family than the girls. They're not as respected as the boys, and Peyton was very awful to her. He hurt her, and she feels like Christine didn't do enough to protect her as a child, to nip the behavior in the bud, and that despite the way that he's treated not only her but some of the other siblings, Christine still favors Peyton over her and her other sisters, according to Gwendlyn. That's what her perspective is here. She says, as a result of what Peyton has done to her, she has been left out of family functions, not invited to do things, or she can't go because she doesn't feel safe being around him. And a couple years ago, she wasn't included in any of the family holidays because of it. So her dad's not inviting her to Christmas, and her mom isn't inviting her to Christmas. She says that Christine and Cody are equally as bad and cut from the same cloth. She's alluded to the fact that she thinks both of her parents are narcissistic. She also has said that the kids in the family were forced to do a lot of the raising of the children, and that while her mom was deemed the mom of the family, unfortunately, oldest children went through what's called parentification, where they take on a role of having to parent their younger siblings, and they come into a relationship with their parent where they actually become a parent to their parents. And this happens in this cult all the time. Aspen has talked about this. McKelty had an interview with Aspen, and one of her biggest complaints was having to be a parent. McKelty has even said that she felt like Aspen was more of a mom to her than Christine. Logan was tasked with having to raise all of his siblings because Janelle was out working. And again, this happens a lot in this culture because there's so many kids and not enough parental supervision. As far as the dynamics within the family, it's complicated. She's also bisexual. She's married to a woman, and the culture that they come from is highly anti-LGBTQ. And so they're not, and she also happens to be diagnosed with autism. She has a very unique perspective. This culture is also not as kind to people with disabilities. So there's a lot at play here. And whether you agree with Gwendlyn or not, this is what her complaints have been lately. She's feeling frustrated with the exploitation, with not getting paid. Her parents have gone through a divorce. She's not happy with the way that it's being played out on the show. She doesn't like how either one of her parents are handling the situation. And now her mom has just gotten married after literally just coming out of this relationship. It's a lot of change for someone that's autistic. My son is autistic, so I know that change is difficult. And we don't really know what she's gone through. We can't say what is true and what's not true, but we only know what we see of people on the show, and the show has made a decision to make certain characters villains and certain characters heroes. Christine is the hero of the show. Cody and Robin are the villains. And when you have that dynamic, it's very easy for fans to be like, everything Christine does is golden and everything Cody does is wrong. Gwendlyn thinks they've both made a lot of mistakes as parents. Gwendolyn's choice not to attend her wedding is probably something that she had to make based upon extremely difficult circumstances. It sounds like there's a lot of issues right now with the production. It sounds like Gwendolyn's facing a lot of problems with production because her wedding was filmed and because Gwendlyn has recently had issues with production. This could be something as simple as production wouldn't allow her to be there. It could be maybe she wasn't allowed to come, or maybe if she did come, she would have to sign something. I will say that if you attend a wedding that's filmed for TLC, you have to sign a release. What if a guest wants to go to a wedding and they don't want to sign a release? What if they don't want to appear on a show? What if they don't want to have to sign an NDA? What if they don't want to have to give up their rights just to go to a friend's wedding? There's a lot of nuance that goes into being a reality television family, and not a lot of protection for kids. So Christine's wedding day should be about her, but at the end of the day, it's not about her because it's also about a network. And then you have a lot of family members. Gwendlyn has said many of her siblings do not want to be associated with the show. They want a private life. They do not want to be mentioned on the show, and they're still mentioned on the show. The show has caused a lot of damage in the family. Both McKelty and Gwendlyn share that same opinion. Peyton also shares that same opinion, and he's like the foe of Gwendlyn. So you have Logan refuses to be on the show anymore because he wants nothing to do with it. A lot. And apparently Leon and Audrey will never be featured again on the show. So there's a lot of kids that have a lot of problems with the show, and the show has caused a lot of problems in the family. And when they talk about going public, that's what they mean. They're talking about the show. Apparently Cody became so obsessed with the Reddit boards and the criticism that he received about looking soft as a man that it made him become way more sensitive, because he's a narcissist, about what people think about him. And so his behavior changed, and he became a lot more angry and a lot more manly and a lot more controlling because he didn't want to look soft. That's what Gwendlyn has said, and that's what McKelty has said. So I would like to know what your thoughts are. I understand this is a highly sensitive topic, By no means are we saying that Christine's the villain or Cody's the villain or even that Gwendlyn's a villain. All I'm trying to say here is try to be sensitive to the fact that all families are nuanced. Every single person has their own story. Every single person within a family has to make very difficult choices. And just because a show is on our television every week for 13 years doesn't mean we know the family. Think about all the little we knew about the Duggars. And then when Josh got arrested, everything came out the floodgates. I'm assuming there's a lot of secrets about the Sister Wives family we don't know, specifically because of the cult that they come from. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.